Hi everyone, it's Lindsay LeFaber here. I'm a librarian here at CLC, and this is going to be a really short video about how to evaluate information for credibility, especially as you guys are working towards your upcoming research paper, as you're working on the research for that. So my goal for this session really is to just provide you some criteria around evaluating information. And what I mean by that is just I want to give you some things that we can look at to determine whether or not something is credible. And then finally, I'm going to give you all the opportunity to take a look at a few examples articles to review. So when we're writing college level research paper, we're often asked, well, no, not often, pretty much always, right? Always. We're always asked to provide credible resources. But how do we know that the things we're coming across in our research are credible or not? Well, I like to use a little test called the CRAP test, and that's just a little acronym that helps me to remember the things or areas I need to look at to determine whether or not the information that I'm reading is reliable. So, we're going to be looking at currency, reliability, authority, accuracy, and finally the purpose or point of view. So let's break that down and take a look at an example. Let's start with currency. And currency is all about the publication date and how that relates to the topic that you're researching. So let's say that I'm researching the Black Lives Matter movement and I stumble across this article. What I'm trying to determine or what I'm looking for is a publication date, number one, but I'm trying to determine whether or not, based on my topic, does that information seem current enough? And if I'm out there on the open web poking around, I want to make sure that the links that I find um, on that website link to they're working and they link to other accurate information. So a good rule of thumb is that most of our information when using information for a research paper should be published within the last 5 years. Um, unless you were going to take some sort of historical perspective on a topic, older information then might be more relevant for you, but a good rule of thumb is the last 5 years. Next up, we want to look at reliability. And when we talk about reliability, we're checking if information seems accurate, is it factual, and is it balanced? And does it seem to go with what we kind of already might know about a topic? So, again, we're looking at the content of the article or website to see if facts are provided. If our author provides us quotes, if they reference other data, or are they also providing a balanced point of view? The goal of information at the academic level should be to inform you. There should be as little bias as possible. Next up, we want to take a look at authority. And when we look at quote unquote authority, we're looking at two things really. Who is the author? Who wrote whatever we're looking at? And who is the publisher or who brought that information to us? So let's go back to our example article and look at our author, Brian Mann. I'll give you the highlights about Brian. So he is a correspondent for NPR, which is National Public Radio. He's a seasoned reporter who's won several Edward R. Murrow Awards. He's authored a book. And overall, Brian is a trained and practicing journalist. So I want you guys to think about that. Think about what do you think that means in terms of a credibility? Do you trust someone who is trained in and working as a reporter or a correspondent? So day in and day out, that is their job. Do you feel that person would be credible? Next up, we want to take a look at who our publisher is or who is our content creator. Where is this information coming from? So if I'm out now I'm out on the website of NPR. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look for an About section, right? And in this instance for NPR, there is an overview. So I'm going to take a look at that to figure out what they're all about. So NPR is an independent, nonprofit media organization. They don't generate money from advertising. They're funded solely by the people that read and listen to their content. So this differs a little bit from CNN or Fox News, right? Typically, cable news networks are in the business to make money. And they may end up reporting on things that help them, or not reporting on things that help them to generate their revenue and their advertising dollars. NPR is funded by listeners, so truly they're more motivated to report on things accurately to the people that are supporting the content creation there, because that is their user base, right? And that's not to say that, CNN or Fox News can't put together credible news. This is just to make you aware of the motivations behind why things get reported the way they do. And I think that this will become even more clear to you as you start to look at some of the examples we have out in our LibGuide or our research guide. Next, we want to check accuracy. And this is really all about double checking information that you think seems like funny looking, or maybe you're like, is that true? Oh, it doesn't seem true to me. We just want to confirm, is the information that we're looking at reliable and truthful, and can that information be supported by other research? So when in doubt, Google it out. What I say is just do a quick Google search. See if you can find similar information, and can you find it in more than one place? Next, we want to look at purpose and point of view, and this one's kind of the most important factor, but it's also sometimes the trickiest because this is where bias comes into play, and it can be tricky to detect bias sometimes, right? So what we want to look at is, what is the intent of the content? We want to ask, is this to inform me? Or is this to persuade me? Are they trying to sell me something? Is there bias here? And is the content free of emotional language? So, again, we're checking to see what the intent of the article. Remember, our first goal should be to inform. Our article should inform us. We want to avoid those things that are trying to sell us something, or articles that are trying to feed into our emotions. Like, is this article trying to get me angry? Is it trying to get me riled up about something? Is this article trying to tell me how I should feel instead of just informing me about the facts of a topic? Another big piece to pay attention to here is ads and how those ads relate to the topic that you're researching. For example, if you were to research a topic like student loan debt and you came across the article, you're like, oh, maybe I'll use that, but it's littered with ads to try to sell us more debt, we might want to be very leery about the intent there, right? Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to pop back over to our research guide, and I have provided a few sample articles for you all to look at. Um, in addition to those sample articles, I've got a crap test handout there. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at those articles. You guys are going to review those 4 articles. And essentially, you want to look at the things that we just discussed for each of those articles. So the date of the article, who is the author, who is the publisher, what is the content all about. And we're going to be using our emoji system to rate those articles. So let's stop here and go take a look.